Hello and welcome back, and would you Adam and Eve it, it's Prime Day again. Those of you that have followed this channel for a while will know exactly what this is, but just in case you're new to the channel, this is the video where we go through and cherry pick across Prime Day, across all the different regions of the world to find the genuinely good deals that I would personally buy. A lot of the time during these promo events we do see some right old chaff getting thrown out the gate, and I'm going to give you some examples, by the way, of times where there's been slightly manipulative, I would say, sales techniques being used. There will be scattered throughout this video. I'll highlight them when they come up. But if you've only come to this video for the offers, understandably, we're not monetized in this video. There's no ads. But if you want to go ahead straight to the offers in your own region, go to the bottom of the time bar there, and you can find timestamps for each of the individual countries that we cover in this video. But for the rest of you, there's a few disclaimers we've got to throw out the gate straight away. Number one, all of the offers that we're talking about today will be added to the NAScompares deal page here, where you can find them, you can vote on them, you can find them. They'll also be linked directly in the description of this video. Obviously, those links are going to be monetized to help us carry on doing what we do here at the channel. And of course, we get a small fee from any of those that you click. So you can ignore them, use them, it's up to you. On top of that, I will say one of the brands that comes up a lot during the course of these Prime Day deals and Black Friday and all the other offers, you tend to find in the world of NAS, it is Terramaster. So much so that we repeat their name a lot in these videos. So rather than do that like we do all the time, what Eddie did was crawl in the back end and find all of their relevant offers where they've got a drop of at least 10% on any of their products, and they're listed on this page. So if you come to Terramaster, and we've included a couple of the standout ones in this video, we're not going to scatter them throughout this video. Go to the link in the description for the Prime Day mega thread for their devices, as we've broken it down by region there. Finally, Eddie, you may know about this on the channel, does develop a lot of tools in the background of NAScompares. Indeed, if you go to our website and go on the right hand side of the page, you find all of the tools that he is working on that help you find the right solutions for your needs. We've got the free advice section we've always been running there at the top, and we've got obviously the Patreon, the Ko-Fi there, and of course you've got things like our Discord and the Ask NAScompares forum. But he's working on a few new tools, and alongside the hard drive calculator, the price per terabyte calculator, is the new NAS Builder tool that's in progress right now. Now you can access this, it's linked in the description. The password is Seagate in lowercase because Eddie's got a sense of humour. But we're hoping that eventually, once we integrate all of the design choices that we're going to be going with, that this will be a one-stop NAS Builder tool to allow you to build a specific NAS for your needs. And again, based on budget, redundancy, size, scale, and of course, all the different proficiencies you may need it for. But again, this is in progress, but you can play with it anyway in the description, and it will spit out some results for you. For example, say we want a 4-bay solution. We're going to go for 20 terabytes of storage. If you want 4 bays, we'll go this more into another video. You want at least one disk of redundancy, and say you've got $1,000 to play with. Actually, let's be mean and say £500 to play with. You want something for Plex in full HD, you want something with AI photography, you want something with some Docker support, and you want something perhaps with photo and object recognition there, and say you want it for at least 6 to 10 users. Click Find NAS, and it will spit out the relevant NASs that can do that job for you. It's as simple as that. But this is a tool that's in development right now, and I recommend you check that out. But let's crack on with the deals. Now, we're going to start off with Amazon US because they're generally the biggest market when it comes to these things. And you're going to hear this switch mentioned a lot during Prime Day, not only on this video, but others. It's probably one of the cheapest switches for the hardware that is being included I've ever seen. Indeed, SMB, they did a whole breakdown of this switch. It has got 4 2.5 gig ports and 2 10G ports. They are SFP, so again, you are going to need fiber cabling, an adapter, or just generally a converter, much like this one that I was able to find for just $35, that allows you to convert an SFP into a CAT standard copper connection there. But this gives you quite a tremendous amount of bandwidth. It is an unmanaged switch, but for $55 to get 4 2.5 gig ports and 2 10G ports, that is frigging insane. And later on, we're going to talk about some other switches, but this is not the last time you're going to see this switch come up in this video. Probably one of my 2 top deals of the whole event, if I'm honest. And again, Prime Day 2, Prime Day October, whatever we're calling it, is pretty meh, being a month before Black Friday for a lot of users. So again, I'm not sure the deals are going to rock everyone's world, but this is one of the few deals in this video that I'm personally definitely going to buy here for the studio. Others I like and appreciate or have already bought, but this one I am going to go out of my way and buy. Next up, let's talk about hard drives, because one of the things I've noticed, and again, you'll see here, we're going to refer to Camel a lot in this video. It's a Amazon price management tool, so you can see the history of an item. I noticed certain products during Prime Day are using a new tactic in terms of getting the price to look like it's a deal when it's not. Now, this 14 TB drive, it's an all-right deal. It's not fantastic. It's, you know, it's probably one of the better hard drive deals I'm going to talk about today, although there's some good 8 TB deals later on. And when you go to Camel, you can see there what the price was, and you can see it's been increased over time there by around $30, and the average has come out over that period of its entire lifespan of 1 month, really important, as 302 as an average. However, that's because that has only been on there for 1 month. But this 14 TB drive has been around for years. What's happened is a new product page has been created, and therefore it looks like it's a bigger deal than it is. It's not a terrible pricing. You're saving probably about $15, maybe $18, but it's not a great deal, and you can tell just by going onto Camel that that page has only existed for a month, and in reality they increased that price quite substantially there. So do keep that in mind when you're looking at a lot of these offers. Now, on the flip side, we've got this 6 TB drive that once again isn't a hugely great offer, but look at the difference there over its historic pricing by comparison. You can see that although the average is 122 and the drive is listed on 109, so again, not a huge drop, at least $10, $11, $12, but more importantly, it's got that historical data to back it up, to show that it's, although it's not an out this world deal, it's not terrible. Now, again, that's because we can see a huge amount more data that is therefore not available on a shorter listed item. So do double check on Camel, or just general history of a page on a product before you take for granted that it is a deal. Now, this is a deal. This is probably up there with that Switch, I would say, if not even better, for those looking for a nice entry-level NAS or a NAS device that they want to use as an accompaniment target, an off-site remote RTRR off-site backup. The 2-bay DS224 is only about 2.5 months old, and at $154, this is quite a steal. Running on a quad-core ARM-based processor and 1 gig of DDR4 memory, it's not going to blow you away, but it runs DSM 7.2 and a number of its key applications and services. We've done a review for it, we've done it before you buy, we've done Plex testing, and overall, I say Plex using the Docker application, it ran really well for what it is, and for a Synology NAS at $154, it's quite a bargain. Recommended, and again, one of my top 3 deals of the day, I would say. Now, next up, the Zimmer board. We talked about the Zimmer a lot recently. This is their 1st generation device, and this is their single board hackable server. They're running with a quad-core CPU. It's $183, but it's $183 for a system that's got a PCIe upgrade slot. It's got dual LAN based on the base of the system, USB 3 connectivity across 2 ports. The whole thing is silent and gives you a Raspberry Pi-esque modification for your own private server. It even has the Casa OS. It's got its own operating system for a Docker and container front end, and it's $183 for that. That's a hell of a price. Now, the dual core one is $162, nowhere near as good an offer, I would say. And as long as you can find it when it's on that Prime Day offer, it's a really good deal at $183 there for a single board hackable, low power consuming, no noise, low impact device. I do recommend you check out the review on that. Now, this Brent dock, it's not, I'm going to say, the most outlandishly great deal. It's not. You can get an external hard drive casing for cheaper than this at $22. On top of that, this requires mains power as well. So, in many regards, why am I recommending what is ostensibly a really old-fashioned external dock? Well, nothing simple. On this channel, we've been testing hard drives and SSDs and the SATA contingent on their own, and running maintenance checks and, checking the health of drives, for more than a decade. And I'll tell you right now, this is the thing I've been using. This Brent dock has been living here as a case in the background for pretty much the whole history of this channel. And during that time, Our case has tested hundreds of drives. It's never let us down. It's allowed us to update firmware. It has been integral and reliable as a case. And therefore, when I saw an offer, although a teeny tiny, ignore that 43% crap, I would still say this is the most reliable docking station for a hard drive I've ever used. Yes, it's only one and you can get good offers, but I wanted to include it just because of the sheer reliance we've had on this product on the channel, and also what a sturdy damn case it has been. It was the first Brent product I ever bought. Next up, a 2.5 to USB adapter, the lowest price one I could find right now, and although 20% off is a bit generous, I'd say closer to 10, still it's $17 for USB to 2.5 gig expandability, and it allows you to connect this to a Windows system, a Mac system with the right firmware, and many NAS systems that are supporting it. It allows you to get 2.5 times standard gigabit network connectivity at sub $20. It's a decent little price there, and again, cheapest one I could find while still having good reviews. Finally, there's this. Now, this mini PC may not seem like much. As you can see, it is a mini PC. It's got dual 2.5 gig connectivity, and it is just $151 there. It also has the N5105 CPU. But why am I recommending a mini PC here? This is not really something we cover on the channel. Well, we will briefly soon. At the moment, look at that loud shirt, and this is a preview video here in early access. This is where I was showing you how to convert a mini PC into a NAS, and it's going to be coming up soon along with a quick 5x5, and this video allows me to show you how to use an existing mini PC and then use any DAS expandable storage that you've got, JBOD or RAID, then utilising unRAID or true NAS, and it's very important that you know which one you're going to go for with regards to JBOD or hardware RAID, and turn those older items and a mini PC into a NAS. And in that video we go through everything from the software installation on unRAID all the way through to setting up true NAS with a hardware RAID devices. Give you all the tools, and it's a complete breakdown or walkthrough. Yes, I'm plugging my own video, but the point I'm making is these kind of hardware specs in a NAS would cost 2 to 3 times that price. This allows you to get a mini PC which you can install unRAID on or true NAS on, and then just get any old storage you've got knocking around to turn that into a NAS. And that's why I'm including this $151 mini PC, because with all of those USB ports there's a huge, tremendous potential here to turn this into a NAS. Whether it is you're going to use those 2.2 times 2.5 gig ports, or you use the adapter that I mentioned earlier on to add even further ports. That's enough of the US offers on Prime Day. Let's move over to the UK. Now, Prime Day in the UK, I would argue, in terms of products that we've seen here, is almost as strong as that of the US. Again, not loads of offers, but certainly probably more standout than many of the other regions we're going to talk about today. Now, moving forward, the first one is this 8TB drive. It's Seagate here. It's Seagate Iron Wolf drive. It's $184. Prices of this drive have gone up weirdly. In the last 6 or 7 months, there's been something about that 8TB rocking point ever since both Seagate and WD kind of rejigged their entire portfolio to move Pro series to the top, and then none of the non-Pro drives had a higher capacity, and therefore that has increased the price of higher capacity drives in the non-Pro segment. So again, $184 isn't a great out of this world saving, but it is a decent enough one to qualify for this video. And I will say, if you're looking for 8TB drives, it's got rescue recovery services included there. It still maintains a decent noise level compared with larger drives or Pro series drives, and it's decent enough. Now, in terms of SSDs, probably one of the best, this is again in my top 3, top 4 maybe offers of this whole video, it's going to be this, the Samsung 980 Pro, an SSD that's been around since late 2020, and right now you can get to 2 terabytes for just £100 there, so which again, depending on your currency, that's a hell of a drop. Again, ignore that 32% crap, I'd more likely say it's about 18 and 20%, but still, just over $100 for 2 terabytes of SSD. That's a PlayStation 5 compatible drive as well as PC, of course, Gen 4. That's a really good price for 2 terabytes of storage, and can't help but feel that Samsung are slowly phasing out the 980 in favour of that 990 Pro over time because of its slightly higher read speeds and certainly higher write speed, but still, if you're a PS5 player, that is a near unbeatable price. There's another PS5 SSD coming later on, but remember that price tag there. Now, We've got another external drive here. This is a Seagate desktop 8TB drive. Again, meh. But remember over here when that 8TB drive was 184 for the NAS version one there? Well, inside here is a non-NAS drive, which again, if you're prepared to do some shucking, remove the drive from inside there, I'm pleased to confirm that thanks to Click's Philip video here from 2019, he opened up a couple of these and they are shuckable. Inside there are a couple of standard class Barracuda drives there, which means you're going to get 8TB of storage and get the external dock if you want to use it. Again, the pricing on that has fluctuated quite a lot over time, but it's still not a terrible pricing there, with 191 as the average price on Camel over the year, and the price down to 125 there for the enclosured version. And again, this drive is shuckable, at least going by that video. And again, bear in mind it's a few years old, but so is that drive. Again, if you are looking for storage, I would strongly recommend utilizing Eddie's price per terabyte tool. Now, this is one that we talked about before, quick deviation there. So, for example, you write in how much storage you need. So for example, we needed 80 terabytes of storage. We've got a 6-bay NAS available to us, and we want 1 disk of redundancy, so failover there. Or maybe we could say we want 2 drives of failover, and we put our budget, we'll leave it at $2,000, and we can go ahead and calculate. And what this will do is spit out a list of drives that conform to those needs. So for example, now you can find out the best price per terabyte is that Seagate Ironwolf 12TB drive there. And again, you can link to it over there, but also you can filter if you choose and go by Seagate, or you can choose to go for Toshiba. It's a really useful tool to get the very best price drives there. And again, you can select it by different regions. It should track where you are in terms of if you are in Germany, you are in Canada, you are in Australia, and list those results. But again, we should be adding more countries to that list very, very soon. But recommend using that tool. Moving forward, we've got the Samsung 980 Pro there as well. Again, we've already mentioned it there previously, but we're bringing back to it because of some of the other pricing that has been included with it if you utilize some of the other capacities compared with other regions. And ultimately, that 2TB still works out being the best price overall. Even when we looked at third-party drives, later on you're going to be seeing I believe it's a Toshiba drive there, we'll get back to that later on. But the other thing when it comes to gamers is this D-Link switch. We've had this before, and you're going to see quite a few switches in a moment. But this is a 5 times 2.5G switch, unmanaged as well, but semi-unmanaged, and it also has 10 GBE. I say semi-unmanaged because it has turbo mode. What a turbo mode does, when you flick that switch, is automatically lag some of those ports and allow you an unmanaged switch that technically has support of link aggregation or port trunking there built into it with a physical switch for it. Now, 146 NICA for that switch is very, very good, but it has to be said that over the last few years, we've definitely seen affordable 2.5 gig switches arrive on the scene. For example, this is that D-Link switch there. You can see that average of 176. You can see the switch there at 146. And the price has seen a couple of dips over time, but this is an all-time ranking thing. This goes back quite significantly far, and that price seems pretty reasonable. But when we look at other switches that have arrived on the scene, such as this one from QNAP, this is their 10 GBE and 2.5G switch. So it's got SFP 10G ports, 2 of them there, remember that adapter from earlier, and 4 2.5 gig ports. It's another unmanaged switch. It lacks the turbo of the other one, but with the D-Link arriving at 146, it's got the LEDs, it's silent, and you compare it with the one that's, I believe there is a fan inside this one, but a very small one, but it's £114. It's quite a saving there for 4 2.5 gig ports and a couple of 10Gs. But, as mentioned earlier on, this thing is just wiping everyone out in terms of the price point. And this NIC Giga, again, 4.2.5G, 2 times 10G there, and it's half the price almost. 114 and 59 NICA for that one with the same ports. Both unmanaged, very similar design there. Not identical, I will say, because the QNAP one is branded with different ventilation there, but still it just underlines just how affordable that switch is. And finally, coming back to them, there's a couple of Terramaster offers there. Indeed, the 9-bay there and the 12-bay, both of which running there on their Intel Celeron. So if you're looking for an integrated graphics CPU with 2.5 GB NAS in a larger capacity tower form, again, they've got the 9 and the 12-bay desktop factor systems there, both of which under $1,000 at $719 for the 9-bay. Serious storage to play with, M2's inside to play with. It's a very expandable system. But let's move over to Germany. Now, it's from this point in the video, I'm going to be straight with you. Deals are not that fantastic. Unfortunately, the majority of areas that I've looked at in Europe, and later on we'll talk about Canada and Australia, were just not exactly mind-blowing. There's a couple of half-decent ones to talk about, but from this point, the offers you're going to see are certainly of smaller savings. There are savings, but not enormous ones. Now, for example, the Lacy here, the Lacy Orange, again, we don't really talk about those. We're not going to mention SanDisk Extreme Pros in this video at all because of everything that's been going on with their drive failures. But the Lacy Pro here, although it's not a fantastic offer, again, going by camel, you can see that the price has dipped and it is certainly higher than the average. The saving there is only really around 10 to 15 euros, but for that drive, it's a very, very good drive. And again, their warranty has always been very on point, and I've only ever heard good things. On top of that, I found this Anker USB docking station here. So again, this is a docking station here that can be used with and without external power. If you do use it with power, there's a decent power delivery built into it there. And as a non-Thunderbolt docking station, it's surprisingly adept, and it's got a lot of ports and connectivity there. And once again, a rocking around at just 60 euros. There's a lot that this can do if you don't want to err towards Thunderbolt docking stations, which if you don't have Thunderbolt connectivity, won't even power on in a lot of cases. So this gives you a lot of kind of scalability there with what you're going to be doing, thanks to USB 3.2 Gen 2 connectivity, giving you 1,000 megs of bandwidth to play with there. Now, I mentioned another SSD brand was going to be mentioned earlier on, and again, I got it wrong there. It wasn't cheaper, it was Corsair there. And if you are someone that is a Steam Deck user, this was probably the best SSD I could find for Steam Deck users looking to upgrade. Now, bear in mind, Steam Deck, and we'll go to the specifications, pretty much limits you without some modification to 224030 SSD length, which again can be problematic for a lot of reasons. Also, the Steam Deck is Gen 3 in architecture, not Gen 4. So why am I recommending a Gen 4 drive? Well, two reasons. One, because this was still one of the best price per terabytes 1 TB branded drives I could find. If you go for slightly unknown brands and out there third-party Eastern 1-year warranty drives, you might save 10 to 15 euro. But in terms of a quality product with a decent standby warranty, this was very much the case. And also, this drive's going to have a 5-year warranty. You may update your Steam Deck system or cannibalize parts later on towards another upgrade or reuse this drive. And given that this is a Gen 4 drive with a higher performance number that the Steam Deck itself probably won't be able to utilize, but this drive will still be useful later on outside of the Steam Deck's life, it just became a no-brainer for me that this was probably the best drive I could find for the Steam Deck via Prime Day, and particularly not just for Germany, but this offer I found in other regions as well. For PS5 upgraders, remember earlier on I mentioned in the UK the best offer I found was the Samsung 980 Pro for about 102 quid. Well, this is the best I could find in Germany, and this is 127 euros for 2 TB of the Corsair. Now, this Corsair has the heatsink attached. It is a very good drive, and it has both a higher read and higher write number. It has a lower IOPS compared with that of the Samsung, but in almost every other regard, it's a more higher performance drive. And given the euro versus pound price point, there's relative parity between them. I still think, even though you're spending more on this than on the Samsung, you are getting a better package overall. If you're a PC gamer, I would recommend this drive overall because you're going to be able to harness a lot of that performance a lot more. And finally, again, we mentioned earlier on about SFP to copper or RJ45 base connection crossovers. This was another example I could find just shy of 40 euros. This allows you to take advantage of more affordable SFP systems or integrate existing SFP systems into copper-based network environments there. recommended, and as far as the adapters I could find online, I could only find out good things about this brand. I don't know much about them here in the UK, but I did find out good things online. But let's move over to Greater Europe, because although I would have loved to give individual areas of Europe love in terms of the deals they've got, there really wasn't a lot, so I've combined them all into the next section. So starting off with Amazon France, we've got this, the GL iNet Travel Router. Now, if you've followed the channel before, you'll know that I reviewed the barrel version of this device. And ultimately, as far as travel routers go, these are probably some of my favourite out there. The newer generation devices that are coming out at the start of next year are going to arrive with not only SIM card support in 4 and 5G, but also battery packs built into them. These do still require USB power to run, but if you're someone that travels around a lot and you are sharing your internet connection, or you're establishing an internet connection between all of your devices, your laptop, your phones, your family members, your colleagues, it's really good to have this as a gateway point. And this doesn't just apply if you can use your own internet connection, because you can utilize this device if you, for example, arrive at an airport, arrive at a cafe abroad, you're working abroad, you're got a bunch of devices, you and your colleagues, you can establish this thing to work as a repeater, so it connects with the local Wi-Fi. It has a VPN button you can switch on physically, which thanks to support of the OpenWRT is incredibly convenient, user-friendly and fast, and supports numerous third-party VPN companies. So it allows you to create a VPN tunnel between it and the repeated public Wi-Fi. Then all of your devices, yours, your phone, your colleagues' devices, connect with this, and it ensures that all of those connected devices, while you're out and about using unknown hotspots, are being funneled through this device with its VPN. And again, it's $79 at the moment. I'd still say it's a price drop of about 10%. But even when you look at the history of this product, they've been largely immovable on the price point throughout the product's life, and that is therefore a much more significant price drop than it would look like. Again, I recommend this product. Do check out my review of the barrel version. Next up, a 10 GB card. Again, not a great price drop, as you can see there. Over time, it's one that started to see decreases quite significantly, and although this is really only a price saving of around 8 to 12 euros at best for France there, it's still a 2-port 10G card on SFP that has a very comprehensive onboard controller managing all of that. The network control on a dual port 10G card is way more important than any other instance with single port cards, because not only have you got to handle those dual bandwidth channels that you're dealing with there, but a lot of the time you want a card that's smart enough to be able to trunk them together when needed, rather than handling on the client side, which can be problematic in some operating systems. Now, moving over to Italy, not loads. I found a significant number of Reolink offers over in Amazon Italy, and again, that wasn't just consigned to just them, but I found probably some of the best offers on Reolink's cameras there. I couldn't find the dual camera, the Duo, probably one of my favourite Reolinks, but the rest of them are there, including the doorbell, something we did a review for. And moving forward in Italy, the Fritz Powerline adapter. I haven't talked a lot about Powerline adapters this year, but this was probably one of the best. It's 1.2 gigabit, and it's dual port on one end, single port on the other. So not only have you got the Powerline adapter running through your home there with dual 1 GBE and the ability to facilitate and fill them both, but on top of that, you've also got wireless connectivity, repeating an existing Wi-Fi signal across the Powerline adapter. It's a dual-purpose device, and 115 euros, although it's not exactly mind-bending in terms of pricing, it's definitely one of the best out there in terms of price, and that's actually a believable 5% drop, I will add as well, for a named European brand there, and a Powerline adapter with a decent warranty and some great reviews behind it. Finally, we've got another NAS here. This is a Synology DS224 Plus. Again, this is a NAS that was released around barely 2.5 months ago, and this device running on the J4 125 processor there, with 2 gig of DDR4 memory that can be upgraded to 6. Again, not an outlandishly great deal, but it's the lowest price I've found for it, at least on Amazon. I found it on offer in a few other locations, but at least as far as Amazon is concerned, this is probably one of the better prices I could find. And for Europe there, you can even see their pricing is not exactly earth-shattering, but if you're looking for a Synology NAS offer, probably that DS223J1 was better, but this isn't too shabby there. And finally, another Terramaster there. This is their Thunderbolt 3 docking station. So this is their device that's not only got two 3.5 12-inch hard drive bays that support up to 22 TBs, but on top of that, on the rear, you've got an Ethernet adapter display port, Thunderbolt ports for daisy chaining, and more USB as a docking station. If you're looking for a DAS anyway with a hardware RAID capability, this allows you to get both a DAS and also turn it into that larger docking station. Again, meh pricing, that 20%, I doubt it, more like 10 to 12, but it's not a terrible offer there for those of you that are looking at Thunderbolt solutions. And finally on to Canada. Now, again, Canada and Australia, I would say, were the two regions with the weakest deals. Now, on the one hand, if you are from Canada or Australia, you know, kudos to you. You have not allowed Amazon to pretty much dominate your marketplace. And clearly, you are an audience that's not listened to the rhetoric of Amazon and Prime Day and thought, yeah, I must jump on that. Which, you know, credit to you for being so sensible about it. You're watching this video, so, you know, swings and roundabouts, but still nonetheless, I would say the offers that are available on Prime Day during Prime Day in your regions, not fantastic. I found this one, and again, half the problem I find when I look at offers, particularly in Canada and Australia, is currency conversions are less streamlined, and once you have to factor in local tax or import tax, it can be problematic to work out a lot of these calculations. But still nonetheless, for example, you've got this 8TB drive, and this 8TB drive has seen that sudden increase there, something we're not fond of seeing. That's why I struggle to think of that as any kind of meaningful offer. But again, you guys have got that mega switch on offer, and even with the currency conversions in mind, $71 for this when we've seen it at 50 and 60 in other regions isn't too shabby, Canada. And again, these guys are really, I mean, it's a largely unbranded switch that's just changing hands with the name on the front, but it is thanks to the improvements in controllers we're finding in network switches, resulting in some great bandwidth being afforded to users with not much money to play with. I found a cheeky little UPS. I mentioned this in other videos as well, and previous seasonal events. This is a nice, well-ported and surge-protected UPS for those that are looking for a 2 or a 4 bay NAS environment with a couple of client devices they need on a UPS, and for $100, shy of $100, is actually not too shabby there. And when I looked it up on Camel, it had a long-running price point of $112 to $125. So that's not a terrible discount. Again, 21%, not so much, but still not a terrible deal. Again, we've seen the Samsung drive appearing on offer again. It's for $159 for the 2TB. So that price drop comparative, once you do go through those currency conversions, it actually works out not dissimilar to what we've seen, but with the added benefit that this Canada offer has the heatsink included. So again, if anything, in many regards, it makes it better than the other offer we saw for comparative pricing. Same goes when we're looking at WD Black at 2TB at $114, and again, that's without the heatsink. And the WD Black is the SN7700, so do bear in mind, this is the DRAM-less drive. It takes advantage of host-managed buffer. And what that means is this drive will not be able to have those sustained numbers for an extensive amount of time, and the numbers are reflective of that. But if you're looking for a Gen 4 drive for editing rather than using it for gaming, this could be the drive for you. But just bear in mind that it doesn't have great sustained performance. But for a 2TB Gen 4 SSD, $114, not to be sniffed at. And again, once you go through the offer and the pricing, it has gone down over time, but it's still higher than the average we have seen. And that's a natural dip as well overall. And that's really it. When I talk about looking at Australia deals, there just wasn't that much to write home about. When I was going through different categories, looking at different searches, crossing over from products that we've mentioned in other regions, I didn't really find anything hugely amenable. And the ones that I could find, like a 2.5G adapter for $50 when we've seen it today for 16 to 17, just weren't working out. So again, I've tried to search as many regions as I can, but really everything I've talked about today was as good as it got. So when this video is live, all of the offers that I've talked about that actually are good offers are going to be added to the deals page over on NAScompares. They'll also be linked in the description. Additionally, there'll be that Terramaster page that I've talked about where we've called and ripped all of those offers automatically. And once again, I recommend a number if you check out utilizing both the NAS Builder tool. Again, once it reaches fruition to what we're hoping it's going to become, that should be pretty darn good. And on top of that, go head over to the price per terabyte tool that Eddie created that allows you to find the very best drives for your needs, for your price, for the capacity of your NAS, and more. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Have a great Prime Day if such a thing is possible. We're going to return to normal programming tomorrow, and of course in a month or so, then you've got your Black Fridays. But apart from that, have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you next time.